some thoughts on the question, the problem of organized religion, of the institution of religion. Many of us today are inclined to see organized religion as a nuisance. To some extent, it has become a nuisance. There is no lying about it. To a great extent, the institution of religion has been reduced to the plaything of the powers that be. But ridding ourselves of organized religion is simply to feed into those powers. Now, why is this the case? Well, first of all, let us consider the nature of organized religion, of the institution of religion. It is not enough to look into the past to understand what the institution means. Now, the question of meaning, of course, is obliterated by the technocratic regime, which sees technical means as the only reality that eventually produces our ends. But running for a minute against the grain of the dictates of technocracy, we can reflect on the question of organized religion. It is not enough to look into the past, because the past offers us only signs of what we yearn for what men have always yearned for, what we yearn for by nature, and what gives rise to the various instantiations of organized religion. The institution as it should be is not ever reducible to what it has been. This allows us to speak of the corruption of the clergy, of the churches, of priests, of course. But now, what is it that it is supposed to be? Well, the institution of religion is there to open up political life to the otherworldly, to show the boundaries of political action and of political answers, to expose those answers, those so-called or supposed purported solutions to our problems, political solutions, to their limits, expose the lie of them, if you like. At any rate, moderate our impulse to seek political closure to our political problems by exposing those problems to we could say, a theological dimension, another worldly dimension. Religion is there to guide us in that respect, to guide political life and order, to guide statesmen, politicians, as we call them today, to the recognition of their proper function and of the ultimate end of man. An end that is irreducible to political action, and certainly to political solutions. Now, the modern attempt to find political closure requires a rejection of the classical function of religion and the establishment, therefore, of what we call ideological regimes, or ideology in general, which is to say, the project of establishing a world of ends in which we solve once and for all. We find a closure. Right? We solve human problems, the problem of man, fundamentally. We establish paradise on earth, as some might say, which turns out to be, of course, systematically hell on earth. So, there we have the proper function of the institution as we yearn for it. Of course, we have the corruption of man, and so we have the corruption of the institutions in their instantiation. concrete instantiation. Now, that corruption is not a reason to get rid of the institution or the yearning for a good institution that represents the fundamental ends of man, ends irreducible, again, to our powers. We seek by nature what is beyond ourselves. We are aware of our mortality, and thus we seek beyond. The beyond. Now, with modernity, we no longer need to seek beyond, because we all collaborate into establishing a platform in which we are virtually eternal, the technocratic platform. And here is where the temptation arises to seek an alternative to the institution of religion, in spirituality, private, subjective, as we say, spirituality. Each one of us has this expansion of consciousness. We dream of being one with the universe, and all of this is very pretty, and all of this is very manageable by the regime, the technocratic regime. So if we can only use the machines to augment our powers of, well, dreaming, the expansion of our consciousness being this dream that expands. So if we can expand our dreams, empower our dreams, augment our dreams technologically, then there we have a solution to all of our political problems. We can get rid of politics. We'll solve politics, political problems, by all joining onto this technocratic platform where our dreams are augmented. We can all dream the same dream, perhaps. It's fascinating. We find, finally we can breathe. We find freedom, emancipation, collective, universal emancipation. And this dream, which is, of course, mediated by technology. Now, have we thereby solved the problem of man? Have we solved political problems? Have we found finally closure? Well, it turns out that we have found alienation from our humanity, from our nature, from our fundamental natural yearnings. And this is not satisfactory for us, so we find frustration. We find what the technocratic regime calls mental illness, right? Frustration, dissatisfaction, misfunctioning, misfits. Right? We don't fit anymore. Alienation, ultimately. This is all the result of this abandonment of, our original condition. We seek a new world in which we can solve all of our problems instead of exposing ourselves to otherworldly solutions. The otherworldly has become a dream, and this is what, by and large, alas, the corrupt institution of religion today offers us. Dreams that feed into the regime, and of course the regime is allowing us to go to church, to the temple, to a synagogue, to a mosque, only to the extent that there we are invited to dream on the weekend, whatnot. And this dream, we hope for another world, perhaps. But all of this is our subjective dream, and then we go back to living our dream, our nightmare. So a technocratic nightmare. So religion is no longer supposed to guide us in political action, to open up our political life to another worldly order of things, a peace, a fundamental underlying peace, given which we are to moderate our political passions and instincts rather than fuel them for the sake, progressively, for the sake of finding political closure, the establishment of utopia, the perfect situation